Tell me how I must survive with 6.5. Please tell me how I must survive with 6.5. I have a born one made chest. I can't even rest. How cost of living, everything doubling, this thing troubling. Tell me how I must carry on with a seemingly one arm. Tell me how I must survive with 6.5. Tell me how I must survive with 6.5. Tell me how I must survive with 6.5. Please tell me how I must survive with 6.5. Every time I go to the market, everything's skyrocketing. Rice, the beans, the cheese, the liver, them make me want shiver. Tell me how I must carry on with a seemingly one arm. Tell me how I must survive with 6.5. Please tell me how I must survive with 6.5. Tell me how I must survive with 6.5. Please tell me how I must survive with 6.5. The other day the landlord called me rent. I paid him the last few cents. Come on, see bill, I walk and rent the bill. I paid him against me will. Tell me how I must carry on with a seemingly one arm. Tell me how I must survive with 6.5. Please tell me how I must survive with 6.5. Tell me how I must survive with 6.5. Please tell me how I must survive with 6.5. Please tell me how I must survive with 6.5. Please tell me how I must survive with 6.5.
Oh, yes, the People's Calypso Monarch for Mashramani 2024. The young lady, 6-year-old. She's the People's Monarch. Tell me how we must survive. As I always say, the mother music of our Caribbean, Calypso. I know you all like reggae and dancehall and so on. Those are the children. Dancehall is a child. The mother music of our Caribbean, the Calypso, born in the bowels of the slave plantation, speaking in a language that Massa could not understand. You know, I always like to say, you know, they used to give the enslaved people a little time on Saturday afternoon, you know, because the enslaved people were the majority. So, you know, the slave masters thought they had sense, you know, and they used to give them a little time to go in the back of the plantation and they used to party on a Saturday afternoon. That's where the whole notion of bush rum come from. They used to brew their own liquor at the back there. That's where the art of rum making came from. And they used to sing the songs. And you know, the Koguana, on one of the plantations, you know. White man come wrong, he smell the guana. and what's that? And they give him, he eat. He said, oh, this is delicious. They make a song for me right away. Bakrajani, nyam guana, metem kwende, oh. Bakrajani, nyam guana, metem kwende, oh. They must sing Panam in their own language that he didn't understand. You dance too. You know, you dance. They used to make white man dance, you know. And with the other man named Dan Kunchi in a boxing. They say he make white man beat a drum and make white man dance. That's all the whole idea of boxing. People stop train. Take them off from the train, got the backland, check the thing and they beat the drum and they got the backland. Folklore. Mother music of our Caribbean, the calypso. And just as the slave masters were afraid of the calypso, we have the present day rulers, wannabe slave masters, who are afraid of the calypso. They're afraid of the word of the people, the language of the people. I can make a political speech. The trade unions can make the speech about collective bargaining. We all can make our speech, but the Calypsonian in 4 verse and a chorus, 4 verse and chorus, will tell the story. And that child, that little child of God, that little black child, that little African child, with the movements and the rhythm that comes from Africa across the Middle Passage, floating in our Caribbean. 4 verse and a chorus send the rulers crazy. And they banned the calypso just as the slave masters banned the calypso. Subversion, they called it. But Marley in later days would say, I want to disturb my neighbor. That little child is disturbing them. Disturbing them. Disturbing them. And they're gone crazy. They're gone crazy. Because they ban a poem now. They ban a poem. A teacher wrote a poem about the cost of living, about the conditions. And another child performed that poem at the Mashramani competition and they ban it. They used to say Burnham banned split peas, and Burnham banned this, and Burnham banned food, and Burnham banned that, and Burnham banned this. They are banning the humanity of our people. They are banning the humanity of our people. Good evening to all of you and welcome to Politics on 101. It's Monday night. I'm having company tonight. And when I have company, I have to behave myself properly. And I want you all to behave yourself properly too. But I have to speak my mind. I have to talk my mind. And there's sometimes I don't talk with water. I don't talk with water in my mouth. Old people say, my stomach na bankos. It's an assault on culture. It's an assault on the soul of the African. Plenty of people wouldn't say it that way. They will say, well, you know, it's an assault on calypso, the hard form. I can talk like that too. But I'm going to the root. That's why they call people like me radical. Radical don't mean you're crazy, you know. It means you go to the root. It's an assault on African culture. African culture, given the fact that it was a culture that was partly nurtured in the resistance against oppression, has a sharp edge to it. The Calypsonian laughs, he prances, he dances, she rhymes. But behind that is a flashing blade. Acerbic. Tell me how we gonna survive. Hear what the little girl said? I have something on my chest. Brother Bob later on will say, in that beautiful song made for the independence of Zimbabwe, a song called Zimbabwe, he said, in every man's chest, there beats a heart. No greater statement of human equality. In every man's chest, there beats a heart. The young Calypsonian said, I have something on my chest. Tell me how we gonna survive on 6.5. It is the statement of the 21st century. when the history of the 21st century, the first decades of the 21st century, Guyana is going to be written. That calypso by that young lady will be front and center. Our teachers are on the road. It's the third week of the strike. And when our teachers are on the road, something is wrong. Something is radically wrong, because the place of teachers is in the classroom. A classroom that produces you, that produces me, that produces all of we. As we would say, I'm not ashamed to tell you, without my teachers, I would not be here. The teachers will tell you, I will take blame for everything, sometimes including the acts of omission. When our teachers leave the classroom and they're on the streets, something is wrong. Because when you're a teacher, especially teacher at the lower level, primary school, nursery school, etc., you are clothed in love. The epitome of love. When you see a teacher, what you see is love. Love. You have to love to be a teacher. You're carrying on your shoulder, on your back, a nation. And when we have a nation in ruins, as our Guyana is, our teachers continue to love. And when you force them to take that love onto the road, something is radically wrong. We got to show them back some love. Welcome to Politics 101. It's on a Monday night, the first day of the traditional work week. And we are back at it. We're back on the grind. The struggle goes on. The struggle must go on. And sometimes the struggle is led by some of us, showing us the way always. Always. One of the first slogans I learned as a boy, coming into political maturity, was workers of the world unite. You have nothing to lose but your chains. Workers of the world unite. You have nothing to lose but your chains. And Professor Clive Thomas will make popular another term. The struggle of the workers is the struggle for bread and justice. As our teachers are on the road struggling for their bread, their daily bread, they're also striking serious blows for justice. And we claim that concept of justice. We do. We the sufferers. Oh, what a wonderful time it is. Oh, what a wonderful day it is. Churchill said that the sun will never set on the British Empire. These are telling us they will win, and they will win for 40 years. But we have news for them. We have news for them. Jah would never give the power to a bald head. Jah would never give the power to a bald head. Long before that, our ancestors said, oh, let the power from Zion fall on I. Oh, let the power fall on I. And my favorite stanza, oh, let the wicked burn to ash for us. And give I justice, peace, and love. Oh, let the power fall on I. We're doing it because only we have to do it. When they push you to the bottom and you rise, you take all of us with you. Good evening. Welcome to Politics 101. If you're joining us from Guyana, welcome. You're joining us from our wider Caribbean, welcome. If you're joining us from further afield, welcome. Those of you from Brooklyn, Queens, Bronx. We have a saying in Buxton, when you left for go to New York, it's like going from Buxton to Annandale. Annandale is a part of Buxton, southern Annandale, Congo people. You cross over. Because when you come to Brooklyn, you're in the mix. Somebody dead at Buxton back then said you're there Buxton front, they know Brooklyn before you. Good evening to all of you from Brooklyn, all the Bookers, all the Zephyrs, all the Prices, high prices. Good evening, my brother Nigel. How are you? Nigel Price. Wonderful. Good evening. Those of you who are joining us from the south of the United States of America, the old South, especially down there in Georgia, South Carolina. Those of you in Georgia know what's happening in Fulton County. I love that lady, Fannie Willis. She said, I walk for anything. No man don't take care of me. And no matter what you all try to do, you all try to put me on trial. I'm not on trial. You are on trial. When you look at Fannie Willis and you look at those women on the picket line, the teachers, the power of the black woman joined by the brown woman, there's no greater force on earth. There's no greater force on earth. My brother Dick Gregory used to say, God give to the black community, he gave them two gifts, the black church and the black woman. Oh, let the power from Zion fall on I, fall on I. Oh, let the power from Zion fall on I. Let my people go. Let my people go. It's not a request. It's a demand. It was Nelson Mandela when they were about to send him off for 27 years. He said, there comes a time in the life of a nation when you are left with but two choices, submit or demand. Our teachers are demanding what is rightfully theirs. There may be a lot of things in that oil that is flowing out from the bottom of the ocean. But I tell you, like a tithe from the heart of things, and I'm quoting Martin Carter here, like a tithe from the heart of things, I am telling you, mixed with that oil are the bones and the blood of African people brought across the Middle Passage against their will. Some of them jumped overboard. Some of them were pushed overboard. But they struck important blows that we can stand there today, and say to the cowardly pack, and I'm quoting my brother Claude Mackay, that cowardly pack, if we must die, then let us not die like hogs, hunted and penned in an inglorious spot. If we must die, oh, let us nobly die, that even the monsters we defy shall be constrained to honor us, though dead. Oh, kinsmen, oh, he went on to say, and for their 1,000 blows, let us deal one death blow. It was a poem that was quoted by Winston Churchill on behalf of empire. You know, when Hitler was flattening part of the empire, who they called on? They called on the words of the black man from the Caribbean, from Jamaica, Claude Mackay. If we must die, and if they can call on our words, we have to call forth our own words. Our own words. Tonight we come saddled and ready We're not riding off into the sunset. We are riding to Zion, parting the sea on our way. On our way. Good evening and welcome to Politics 101. It's the month of February. It's Black History Month. It's the month of coffee. It's the month of the 1763 rebellion, revolution, 1763 revolution, 1776 American Revolution, 1776 the French Revolution, 1804 the Asian Revolution, 1763 the Bobby's Revolution. It was an age of revolution. When we read the books, they talk about the French Revolution and the American Revolution, but we got news for them. They send people like me to school so that we can talk about the Berbice Revolution and the Asian Revolution. And that is why Brother C.L.R. James, writing about the Asian Revolution, talk about the Black Jacobins. It was the Jacobins, as they said, who led the French Revolution. And he referred to Toussaint and Dessalines and their band as the Black Jacobins. The Black Jacobins. Be not turning back. We have come too far. We have come too far. We're not turning back. We're not turning back. We're going to clean Guyana like a whistle, because it must be a place that all of us who tenant it must do so with dignity. Good evening. I'm ready to roll. Here's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to be talking about the election, the PSU election, the Public Service Union election. And Trevor Ben, Team Ben, is on the roll. And I have a couple of members from that team. They're going to be here. And they're going to be telling us about what they intend to do. The Public Service Union is important. You all understand? A lot of you are calling for the PSU to come on the road, right? The PSU is having an election in a couple of weeks, and we have to put the right team there, all right? And so we're going to be talking to them, with them, Brother Kirk Fraser, Brother Patrick Mentor. They're going to be talking about their platform, and we're going to be joined by my friend, got me in trouble a couple of times, Lincoln Lewis. He got me make again knockoff from the Chronicle. He make again knockoff from Kaicho News. He's a man of big words, you know. He tell a certain leader about testicular fortitude. I never learned them words, and I go to the highest university, Lincoln Lewis, talk about testicular fortitude. And make he ain't gonna knock off by himself, I get knock off with it. But my friend still. He's my friend. Lincoln is gonna be here, and he's gonna be talking about what the teachers are doing, trade unionism, and the struggle for bread and justice. Let me bring in the team Ben people, and the names that I know. Let's hear. We have Mr. Kirk Fraser is here. Mr. Lincoln Lewis is here. Mr. Mentor is here yet? Good evening, Mr. Fraser.
Good evening, Mr. Hines. Thanks for having me tonight with you on your program, Politics 101.
Thank you very much. And you're in good company with Lincoln Lewis.
Yes,
Mr.
very
Lewis,
astute.
yeah, he's a good guy. He's a good guy. He likes to use big words and get people in trouble. But I let you get me in trouble before you get you in trouble. Fraser, you from New Amsterdam?
Yes, indeed. New Amsterdam.
Originated from West Berbice?
Yeah, my origins are from West Berbice.
Talk to me. Which part of West Berbice?
That is Belgium area.
You know Lincoln Lewis?
Yeah, very well.
He from 28th area, but
yeah,
Stay far from him. Kirk, talk to us. This election is coming up, the Public Service Union election. As I said in my introduction, the public servants are extremely important. There are 54,000 public servants. Your union doesn't represent all of them. They're teachers and so on who have their own union, but you represent the bulk of them. And the Public Servants Union has been in the forefront of our modern political struggle for bread and justice. We go back to the 1960s with the 80-day strike. We come right up to the 56-day strike in 1999. And those are the high points. But throughout our modern history, the Public Service Union has been at the forefront of our struggle. Talk to me, talk to our audience about why on a Monday afternoon we should have you here talking about an election, a PSU election. Why?
Mr. Hines, let me just clear up. I am not a part of the Public Service Union. I'm a member of the Public Service Co-op Credit Union.
Credit Union, right.
Yes, which represent a large amount of teachers and civil servants who utilize that financial institution to make life easier for them.
Good.
Well, as you may be aware, this struggle that we're in to have the credit union have good leadership came as a result of an ousting of the then chairman of the credit union, Mr. Ben. It was a long journey. Members had asked the committee of management for a sit down to discuss the reason for the moving of the chairman who was elected by the members. Unfortunately, those members who are on the committee of management rejected that. And as a result of that, members signed a petition and petitioned the committee of management, which went on deaf ears. So the only other alternative that the members had was to move to the court so that their voices could be heard, which is in total contravention of the rules of the credit union, because the members are the main pillar of the credit union. We elect leaders to serve us and not to dictate to us. But as is the case, we're being dictated to. So we had this whole legal battle. 4 times we had to go to the court to get, imagine we have to go to the court to get leaders who we elect to comply with the rules of the credit union, which I think was a very unfortunate situation. And lots of money was being used from the credit union to defend these people, you know? So that of itself was bearing, it was heartaking for the ordinary members because millions of dollars were spent on these court matters. For example, one attorney for the committee of management received $5 million of the people money, of our money, to fight us. We had to take our own money to represent the other members of the credit union. That is something that I think that we should never allow to happen again in the history of the credit union.
Your colleague, Mr. Mentor, Mr. Patrick Mentor is here. I didn't see him, but I finally saw him, and he's here. Mr. Mentor, you want to add anything to what Mr. Fraser said there in his introductory remark?
Oh, yes, of course, Dr. Hines. Thank you for having me. I think there's a lot that can be added, but I'd like to speak to what Crow mentioned earlier, and that is the excessive spending on attorneys' fees, using members' money to fight the members. I mean, this is an unconscionable action that should, as he said, never be repeated, should never again be repeated. Indeed, I was acting as chair when the members came and they wanted to have a sit down and observe what's happening and to have their concerns heard. And the committee, through its majority, decided that they wouldn't have it. And Dr. Hines, I'm not teaching you anything by mentioning to you that what they have been exercising is, we call it tyranny of the majority, where they pay no interest in what the minority section would have to offer. And therefore, that would be at the outset my introduction to this issue.
Yes. And I had Mr. Ben here about a year ago, and he talked at length about how important the credit union has been to its members, the things that he introduced. And now you all are part of that team going to an election. Kirk, you first, and then Mr. Mentor after. Talk to us about some of the things that you are going to do in addition to what you are already done if you are elected in the coming election.
Well, Dr. Hines, there's so much that we would have discussed as a team to implement for the benefit of the members, because we are placing the members first. We're not placing ourselves first, because we believe that the members need good leadership to lead this very, very important financial institution of our constituency to satisfy the needs of our people. So I would like to make it very clear that this is bigger than any one of us. So we are looking to put a number of things in place to ensure that the members are properly, the members' finance are properly managed and they can have the best use of it. For example, we are going to be implementing a system, because as it is now, in order for persons to get loans, they have to have signatories or guarantor of a certain amount before they can actually acquire a loan. Those persons who have 10 years and more standing in the credit union would not have to go through the rigors of getting persons to sign as guarantor because of the time that they are part of the credit union. So that bureaucracy in terms of getting a number of signatories to sign as guarantor would not be attributed to those persons who are long-standing members of the credit union. We would also be putting good financial management, or we would teach our members about good financial management so that they can, even if they borrow a loan and they want to get in any form of entrepreneurship, we would help them to understand what are some of the requirements that they need to put in place to ensure that their finance are being managed properly. Outside of that, you would be aware that during Mr. Ben's tenure, the vision was to ensure that the members are comfortable. Over the years, and I can tell you from since Mr. Ben became the chairman of the board, we would have found that there was an increase, a large amount of increase in terms of membership of the credit union. It would have grown to a level that is persons were craving for this financial institution to satisfy their need. So the membership would have grew to a very high level. So the current office in Hatfield Street would have outlived its usefulness. And what we think that is right, during Mr. Ben's tenure, they would have purchased a land where we want to house the new headquarters for the credit union that would house a number of other services, because you can't only stick to the financial institution. We want to have services such as daycare, where members don't have the hassle to go to get the money. We implement a ATM card whereby members can access their finances. We want to, like a one-stop multi-purpose center, where if you go, you can get your groceries, you can have your pharmacy, you can have daycare center, etc. So those are just two that I would have outlined. I allow my other colleague to highlight some of the other plans that we have when we win on the 2nd of March.
On the 2nd of March, Mr. Mentor, you can come in and add to items on the platform.
Well, actually, Dr. Hines, this thing boils down to members having a choice. It's a choice to have progressive leadership as against having a crew with no vision. Court mentioned the new facility that was envisioned to be brought on stream. And since the ouster of Ben, which was done like a thief in the night, where people sat together in the dark of the night and they planned and plotted and they ousted him, and they went further to destroy the recordings of that meeting so that no one would have any idea of what really went on. The facility to which Cork referred, the plans for that was indeed to have a pharmacy, to have a health clinic, to have a daycare center. I'm just repeating that. But I just want to say that where things are at the moment, all that property has been identified for is to hold repossessed vehicles. Now, I want you to hear me clearly. The plan is to use the facility to store repossessed vehicles. Now, Cork mentioned financial literacy as one of the ways we intend to expand our member engagement. Now, if you have financial literacy, you ought to be telling your people, you ought to be guiding them. So there is no, they need to repossess something that a member will have taken a loan to secure. The need is reduced to a very, very small margin of possibility. So what I'm saying here is that we intend also to engage our members and our employees in capacity development for the sustainability of the credit union. Currently, as it stands, we have 6 directors, as they call themselves, going on trips to exotic places, ostensibly to attend conferences, and bring back nothing of value. There is no report, and therefore one is left to wonder whether there is any sense in 6, not 2 directors, 2 staff members, and 2 members outside going to these things, 6 directors. And this has added a burden on the finances that these things have deprived, to my mind, the members from enjoying maximum dividends. These are the kinds of things that the members need to understand. You have a choice to make. You either choose extravagant expenditure where you see no returns on anything for the credit union, or you have prudent financial management with leadership with vision. That is one of the choices that members have to make come March 2nd.
On March 2nd, you have a clear choice. Mr. Patrick Mentor and Mr. Cork Fraser here from Team Ben that is contesting the elections for the Guyana Public Service Union credit union, not the union election, the credit union elections. Mr. Fraser, give us some idea. There may be people in the audience. There are people in the audience who are members of the credit union and who would like to vote, where people can go to vote. Give us some sense of the mechanics.
Okay, Dr. Hines. In every region, there would be a regional voting place. For example, I live in New Amsterdam. In Region 6, we're having 2 areas where persons can go in person to cast their ballot, or there is an online component of the election. So it's a hybrid election whereby we have both in person and both as well as online voting. And that would be replicated in all 10 administrative regions in Guyana.
Yes. Mr. Mentor?
Yes.
Are you all satisfied with the mechanics, voters lists in order, all those things? You know, this is Guyana. Yeah.
Dr. Hines, I'm glad you mentioned the word list. As a matter of fact, we have been trying over the past several days to access the register of members. Now, as you know, this is a requirement by law that there should be a members register which should be placed in a prominent spot. We have not been able to access the members register, and therefore we have a situation where members are asking for the numbers. Now, this is easy, you can understand this. We all have our numbers, but many of us do not remember our numbers. And therefore, at this time, members would like to know, because they have to get the numbers to register. They would like to know what their numbers are. And they've been approaching us. We have asked for the numbers of the credit union. The credit union is saying to us that this information is not available because the network provider has not configured the system, or so that if you configure the system, that we can interrogate it and get the information that you need. It sounds to me like balderdash, for want of another word. Now, how do you, on a daily basis then, deal with members? You must have something that you can go to, some data set that you can go to get the particulars for members. So unless you're saying to me that because these things are not accessible, we cannot give members loans. So in other words, then, if you can give members loan, there has to be a data set to which you refer.
Yes.
So it sounds to me very obstructionist. It sounds to me that way. And so what we have done with respect to that, we have asked that a meeting be convened with us, the 3 court-appointed persons, and the CEO, and the other 2 court-recognized identified persons, with the software, the provider, have a meeting where we express our concern and our desire, and they will say to us what the situation is. I asked for that. I sent a letter over the weekend to the CEO, and I expect to be advised momentarily as to the status of that request. All right? Because, as I said, members need to know their numbers to register. And
Correct.
by doing this, I've heard, Dr. Hinds, I was told about 1 hour before this meeting that it was said on a program somewhere this morning, there is no way we can get a quorum for the meeting. Now, that struck me as odd. It is odd because it suggests to me, they saying that when blind man say he can pellet you, he already got a brick in your hand, he know exactly what car you in. Now, it says to me that if you were going to say to me, there will be no quorum, it means that you have already started the machinations to ensure that the members are either not aware, are they dissuaded, or that the technological aspect of things are haywire. All right? So it says to me a lot of things. And therefore, I am looking a keen eye on any element which suggests to my mind that it is an obstructionist play in motion. You see, Dr. Hinds, I'll use another term to which you're very familiar, scorched earth. Now, what's going on here is a scorched earth play. If these people are ousted, it means nothing good must happen for the credit union. It means that the credit union must sink. And Dr. Hinds, it is not an attitude that speaks well of persons who were voted into office in all conscience. In all good conscience were voted into office, but suddenly got speed wobble, they lost the way, they took the wrong turn. I don't know. But things are not as well as everyone might feel. There is a lot to be done, and there's a lot of work to be done. We know that there are players and plays going on that we cannot see, but we are resolute that a change has got to come.
A change has got to come. We have, today is the 19th, so we have 12 days to go before the election. I tell you what, I'd be interested to know the outcome of that proposed meeting, to settle the voters list and to make sure that members know their numbers. So you have an open invitation to come back in the next 12 days to give us an update. So please do come back. Mr. Cork,
thank you.
Yes, Mr. Fraser, thank you. Mr. Mentor, thank you. Like I said, please come back next week to give us an update so that members and other supporters will be sure that all is well. Thank you all so much.
Thank you for having us, Dr. Hinds.
Thanks, Dr. David.
Thanks. And Mr. Cork Fraser there, and Mr. Patrick Mentor of the Guyana Public Service Credit Union, and they've been giving us an update on the election for that credit union that's coming up. It's been in the news a lot, And we are glad that we were able to have them on tonight. And as I said, I'm inviting them back next week to give us an update on where things are. Let's bring in Lincoln, who has been patiently waiting. Lincoln, the teacher strike is on. We have been covering it for the last 2 weeks. The teachers initially struck for 2 weeks. They have continued that strike. Today, the first day of the third week. Last week, the union met with the Trade Union Congress, and clearly our audience would want to know where the TUC, the GTUC, stands in relation to this strike. Of course, the Teachers Union is an affiliate of the TUC. So if you can bring us up to date without carrying tales out of school, what transpired, what were the outcomes of that meeting between the Teachers Union and the TUC last week?
Let me say that I'm grateful that you have taken some time to invite me to talk about the people's business, and not your business and my business.
And I hope you mind your language about fortitude and testicular and all those fancy words you like to use.
You see, that's the story. You like talk me and you business. Anyway, let me tell you what happened. Let me tell you that this strike is just. It's a just cause. And let me tell you that it is strong, very strong. Strong from the standpoint that the employer who is represented by the politicians, the government side of the house, they are concerned. Well, let me say that this strike is about the denial of the right to collective bargaining. Collective bargaining is guaranteed under 147 of the Constitution of this country. The Constitution talks about the right to collective bargaining. And when you go back to the Constitution, you know, David, there are two organizations that are represented by name: the trade union and the cooperative. The trade union and cooperative, they're mentioned by name in the Constitution. So let me tell you something. This is not poko strike. This is a strike to represent and advance our constitutional right as a movement. 147 speaks about collective bargaining, and collective bargaining talk about the right to collective bargaining by the workers' organization, the trade union. And 23(1) of the Trade Union Recognition Law, 23(1) speaks to the issue of the it says basically, look, so long as certificate of recognition is issued by the Trade Union Recognition Board, the employer is compelled to negotiate with the trade union in good faith. What this government has done over the period is that they decide they're going to ignore collective bargaining. They're going to ignore it. So what they did, they don't talk with the PSU, they don't talk with no union, except GAU or NASI. They've decided they're not going to talk with any union. What these teachers did was to submit a proposal as the initiator in pursuing better conditions and increase wages and salaries for their members. They submitted a proposal. What the government did is that they look at the proposal and they decided that they're not going to talk with the union. If you supply, if the proposal from the GTU had said, for example, we need 6 uniforms throughout the year. They watch at it and say, look, we're going to give them 4. But then calling the union and talk to the union, they're saying give 4. And what they did, with that 4, they're going to implement. And then they come back now and saying to the world that they give us 26 things or 30 things. And we have implemented so many. This is not an issue about implementation. This is about collective bargaining. A lot of people don't understand collective bargaining. Let me just give you an example. If I give you, as a union, I represent the union, I give you a list of 20 things that I want to talk about. And you decide that I am going to agree to 3 of those things. To hell was me and it's empty. Even though we negotiate them one by one, even though I'm telling you as far as it goes, we negotiate 1, 2, and 3, and I have 17 left. And I agree that these are these 3 that we agree on those 3, and the 17. I can say as a union that I am taking my proposal off the table. I can take my proposal off the table and throw down the 3 because I give you 20 and I want to negotiate 20. You have to negotiate 20. This is not horse trading. This is collective bargaining. We have to negotiate. We have to sit across the table. Gabio and your team of them, they may be horses, but we are not traders. We're not trading the workers. That is as clear as it is, and that's what the strike is about. They must come to the table and negotiate. And negotiation is not horse trading.
Negotiation is not horse trading. Lincoln,
no.
Thanks so much for that education on trade union principles. The whole issue of collective bargaining, we have been saying on this program, the objective is not the strike. The strike is the means towards the objective. The objective is collective bargaining and better wages and salaries and conditions for the workers. Let's go back to that meeting last week between the TUC and the teachers union. Talk to us about that.
Let me tell you what. Yeah. We are standing, the GTUC stands with we are standing behind we're not standing behind the GTU. And the GPSU had made the point.
You stand with the GTU.
Yeah. And
explain to us what that means. Standing with and not behind. Yes.
We are not bandwagoning. Mm-hmm. We have an interest to make sure certain things happen. So we're standing with you. The GPSU is standing with the I've said it unto today to the president of the TUC and myself that we are standing with the GTU. We're not bandwagoning.
Tell us in practical terms, Lincoln, what that means, because one of the things our viewers are talking about is solidarity.
Let me make the point to you.
Tell us what the TUC is doing.
Let me make the point. Let me make the point to you. Mm-hmm. Everybody in this country, all the workers get problems. Mm-hmm. And all the workers' problems got resolved now. As simple as that. I ain't got to go in details to tell you.
Right.
The problems are resolved now. This government take care of past people. This government get a man named Jack Yo coming every Thursday or Wednesday, using state funds to call people names and cuss out people, cuss out leaders, and not deal with the government sit down and they're not dealing with the issues that impact the well-being of the workers. We got to settle them now. So the same interest the GTU has, the same interest the GPSU have, the same interest the TUC have. We're not standing behind them, we're standing with them. This is a fight for all of us.
Again, Lincoln, tell us some practical things the GTU.
I ain't gonna tell you, I ain't giving you too much a thing. I'm telling you what I
don't want to give me secrets, but we want beyond saying we stand with the workers. We want to hear what is it that is going on that is helping to strengthen the TUC strike. Not giving us
the GTU strike. The GTU strike is being supported by all the parties that you're talking about. Okay, I ain't giving you thing. I want to give out. I want to divulge where we go next. But I'm going to tell you something. You made a point earlier that they started with 14 days. Last week when we met, we make it very clear that the 14 days that they give to them, they're waiting the union out. And last week Friday, they're calculating is going to be the last day, and people will go back this morning. So we together, all of us said, this has to be indefinite, right? Because you ain't going to get anything. And I want to tell you something. Rome was not built in a day. We have to fight. This here is a fight, and it's a fight for the trade union community. So I don't want people to believe that everything will happen within the next 72 hours. I ain't saying it's going to happen, it's going to take 5 or 6 weeks. But a sign that we got to fight.
As someone on the front line, Lincoln, the strike initially was for the first 2 weeks. Today is the first day of the continuation of the strike. As the momentum of the last 2 weeks, as it continued today, from your
yeah. Let me tell you what. As a person who experiencing this here, let me tell you this. The weakest day for any strike always be Mondays, you know, when you meet Friday afternoon. That's why I always believe Friday is the day on the weekend, you gotta whip up the support. Because people come the whole week, over the weekend, they become a little rusty. Strikes are strong and always strong between Wednesdays and Fridays.
So you're saying that the momentum continued today. Lincoln Lewis, the General Secretary of the Trade Union Congress, here with us this evening. The strike continued today. The teachers have vowed that they will continue the strike. They've made their demands very clear. For them to resume work, they're asking the government to meet the minimum demands. The government must first withdraw that plan to deduct money from the striking teachers. The government must restore the deduction of union dues, and that they must come to the table. Those are the 3 conditions put forward by the GTU for a resumption of work. They're reasonable demands. Reasonable demands. We saw a letter by AUC Guyana, Guyana, this weekend, in which he made it very clear that that act by the government of refusing to deduct the dues for the union is an act of repression. You heard the PPP saying it doesn't violate the law. It's an act of repression, says Guyana. Let me get Lincoln in. Lincoln, the government is giving the impression that that decision not to deduct the Jews, union Jews from the workers, is something that Ian Chang said is quite legal. They're not violating any law. In fact, what a lot of our viewers are now realizing, that it was a penalty that was meted out first to the PSU after the 1999 strike, and it has not been restored to this day. So I want you to speak to that point, that this action is not a violation of the law.
I want to tell you something. I want to tell you something. I want to tell you this. You got to understand. You don't talk bad about the dead, you know. I read the Chang ruling. He didn't say that. But Chang was trying to save them. I'm going to tell you something about Chang. We had a case with Rusal. And what Chang tell us, the ruling that Chang in the court when we go for the right thing was totally different. Right? So this thing about Chang, I have problem that I don't know what he wrote it in, what his thoughts were, if the thoughts were Chinese or Indian or African, I don't know what his thought was. But let me tell you something. The agreement says, the law says in this thing, 4 of the Labor Act says. He said, if there is an agreement, a collective agreement that has been written, if you do not say in that collective labor agreement that what is written there is not legal and enforceable in the court of law, then it is legal. So they can talk what they want to talk. It is a legal piece of document. What they're doing is legal. What they did there is an illegal act to oppress a union. That's what they do. Take away your money. So I want to say to the teachers, we need to understand very clearly that you have written, you have signed the form telling your employer, and your employer has a contract with you to deduct your money and remit it to the union. It is not only a contract between the union and the Ministry of Education, it's a contract between the employees and the Ministry of Education. And it is for that reason we believe strongly that, employees must take them to court for breach of contract. Same way as how they're deducting money to pay to the Public Service Credit Union. It is a similar arrangement. And they must demand that a contract be honored. We have to be very clear.
Lincoln Lewis, you're a trade unionist first, and but you're also a social and political commentator. One of the difficulty I have had these past couple of weeks whenever I speak on the teachers' strike in the wider Caribbean is, why is the government, which runs around the place sharing money to all and sundry, resisting raising the teacher's salary beyond a meager 6.5%? It is clear to people in the rest of the Caribbean that the reasons cannot be reasons that have to do with just the economic situation in the country. There must be something else that is going on here. Help us, Lincoln. Help us with the subtext of the government's behavior towards the GTU and by extension, the public service workers.
All right, let me tell you, these are, somebody was talking to me a couple of days ago and they were making the point about when was running the TUC, what were the things that we were involved in? How we used to treat, the government used to treat, and how the trade union and the government used to treat. And I made a point to them that you're talking of a time when you had Borlab and you had Jacob. You are right. Those were men you could have had an agreement with, oral agreement. And you walk away and you have a strike or you have an impasse, whatever it is, and you walk away from that meeting, and you can make the pronouncement that that strike has come to an end. And you go next 2 days and sign the agreement. These are not the men and women now. You can't trust them because even what they sign on to, they don't believe in them. The 1999 strike and the Armstrong Award, there are many issues from that has not been implemented by the government. The Jagdio regime and Jagdiophobia is at the level where there is pure deceit, connivingness, and it's a group of massa.
Yeah, but Lincoln, I hear that, and you make the distinction between the leaders of yesterday here and the leaders of today. What is it that is driving this massive behavior? What the PPP? You have to start off from the standpoint that they're not fools. There must be a grand plan. Why are they assaulting the teachers, assaulting the public service in ways that they're not assaulting other categories of workers?
Hold on, let me tell you this. Have you heard Mr. Jagdio 2 weeks ago what he said? When it was told that, look here, this strike having place is supported, in fact, by a white cross section of people. You have African people there and you have East Indian people there. You know what a man said? That man said, yes, these people, number of them come out from our area, our support base. But when the time comes for election, they're going to vote for us.
Yes.
This is how demeaning this man see the ordinary man in this country. He's saying notwithstanding what he does to East Indians, they're going to vote for him. It tells you the psyche of these men and women.
So the attitude there to the workers is really not an attitude that is grounded in principles of worker-employee relations, but it's part of the PPP's political agenda. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's what I'm saying to you.
Okay, all right, yeah.
That's the type of men and women we have to deal with.
Political agenda. No, Jagan and Burnham and Hoyt had political agendas too. Don't make it look as though they didn't have political agenda, right? But what you are saying, let me ask you, are you saying that this present crop is allowing their political agenda to determine their actions on issues of policy, on issues of trade unionism, on issues of bread and butter?
Yes, and the collateral damage, they don't care about that.
Okay.
They don't care about the collateral damage.
Lincoln Lewis here, speaking on the teachers' strike, and bring us up to date on what is going on. Lincoln, from your experience as a trade unionist, someone who was sat down with government, with the private sector, and bargain, have you ever seen this level of hard-mindedness, hard-headedness on the part of an employer? Now, I know you talk about Hoyt, and you talk about Burnham, and you talk about Jagan. They play hardball in their time too. I mean, Jagan,
yes, they play hardball.
In the 60s.
The thing about it is that those men play hardball. Yes. But they talk to you. Let me point out to you.
Right. Go ahead, go right ahead.
During the era of those men, the moment there's a strike, the labor department, in the portion of the chief labor officer, would have been calling you. Come, let's talk. Let me hear what is your problem. And you will talk from there, and they will take hardball. But we're talking, right? And even if we are talking, across the table, we're talking to the chief labor officer or the minister of labor, right? Or there are times you're talking bilaterally, one person from this side talking to another person from the side. You're looking for a solution to the issue. In this case here, all that they're saying, we ain't talking to them. We ain't talking to them. It's a different thing.
Right. And I want to press you further on that point you're making there. And I don't want you to give out secrets. But we all know in politics, in areas of public policy and public contestation, there's always what you call backroom initiatives being made. People talk tough in front of the camera, but they're backroom initiatives. Has there been any kind of reaching out backroom from the government?
No, there have not been backroom. They have not. That's why I'm telling you that in that era, the era of those men, we had that type of arrangement. Those things used to happen. Let me give you an example. We had what we call, when they had the food strike in Linden. You remember that thing?
Yes.
In 1989.
Oh, you're talking about the 89 ERP strike. The food strike was 83.
89 strike.
The 89 strike was the strike against the budget.
Yeah. I remember we were at Kwabena Street at a flower shop. And a man walked up to us. He said, "What are you doing here?" And we started to talk. And the man said to me, "Look, man, and you come over by me. And let me throw some ideas together for start this thing." This man had a strategic position in the bauxite industry and the bauxite thing. And the man come in. And the man throw the idea. Right? We had a group there that go in. He cooked some food and we talk. And the man said, well, the man throw the idea. Everybody looked around. He said, this thing can work, you know. It can work. You say, all right, we left the night and he said, I'll get back to you guys by 10 o'clock the next morning. At 10 o'clock next morning, this man listened to all of us, you know. And when the man finished, the man sent a document to us. He said, look at it, let me start talking. And that document formed the basis for negotiating an end to that strike. I'm just raising these things for you to understand how we behave, how things are. But you know, a couple of days before that, you know what the management is saying to us? They said they will not speak to us. They will not be under the same roof at the same time with the trade union. That's what the management at Bauxite Company was saying. And we were saying to them, we're going to go on the road, and when they finish talking to all of this, we're going to come in and go on the road. Right? And the same man, it was a period that most of us in the union, we were not driving. We coming down. When we left there night time, we left there about 11 o'clock at night. When we come downstairs, the same man turned and said, what man, where are you going? I gonna give you a drop, man. I gonna give you a drop, right? Jump in, let me land. There was more a level of civility in the behavior of people.
Of civility. Lincoln Lewis, General Secretary of the TUC, weighing in here this evening. Earlier, we had two members of the Guyana Public Service Union Credit Union talking about that election coming up on March 2nd. Some of you have been receiving the Politics 101 bulletin. We have a volunteer reporter who reports on our programs. For those who are not able to watch the program and they want a written report on the program, we have a reporter who is doing news stories from the Politics 101 program, and some of you have been receiving those reports. It's called the Politics 101 Bulletin. Some of you have been receiving it in your email, in your we haven't gotten to WhatsApp yet. We are trying to get it into your inboxes, but they're also on our website, Politics 101 website. Some of you are joining us tonight from the Politics 101 website. It's also, those reports are also on the Village Voice, and a newspaper, online newspaper. Those reports are there. Politics 101 Bulletin, look out for it. We have a big lineup this week. Tomorrow is Henry Jeffrey. Wednesday, we have in Nigel Hughes, who just gave a stirring address to the Burnham Foundation at a forum to commemorate Burnham's birth anniversary. And Nigel Hughes was the main speaker, stirring address, and we're going to talk to Nigel about that on Wednesday. On Thursday, we're going to have the Black History people, Eric Phillips, Vincent Alexander, Takumo Ugunse, etc., etc. And then on Friday, we're going to have the Friday Gang, Vince Adams and Nemo Flu Best. We're trying to get a Manza to come in on Friday. And of course, we have Professor Clive Thomas at some point during the week giving us the economic analysis. So we have quite a lineup this week. And like I said, if you miss the program, you can, of course, go back and listen to the programs. But those of you who would like to see the reports, we have the Politics 101 Bulletin, and we have a reporter who's volunteering. We, of course, have to... what should I say? Do a stipend and so on. So those of you who have contributed materially, monetarily to our program, you can be rest assured that those donations are not going to waste. We have added a new component, the Politics 101 Bulletin, and you've been seeing those news reports. Lincoln, everybody that I've spoken to have expressed surprise at the level of support for the strike from the teachers. Even the optimistic people like myself, we were going to be happy with a 30-40% turnout of the teachers. They have exceeded that. What do you think are the major reasons that the teachers have surprised us? What is it that has happened to drive the teachers to come out in such large numbers, to ignore the ethnic divide, to ignore the political divide, and to come out in such large numbers for such an extended period of time?
Let me start by telling you that one of the things that let me take it from the back. In fact, one of the things that the teachers union is asking for, that the persons be paid, all persons who struck must be paid the salary. You know why? Because they have been constructively, the government has established the climate for the strike. In fact, you said in industrialization, just something called lockout. What they did was to philosophically lock out the workers. What they started, this agreement, they have a grievance procedure which speaks to bilateral, which is the employer and the trade union. Then you have, if you break down, you go to conciliation. The conciliation is being facilitated by the chief labor officer and his team. If you fail there, then the next step you go is arbitration. And the Ministry of Labor has that responsibility to put the mechanism in place, facilitate the establishment of the arbitration tribunal. the government decided that they are going to not engage the union. When the union requested a conciliation, the chief labor official decided that 12 was human. When they talk about arbitration, he said he talked to somebody. You have not yet exhausted your bilateral yet. The president has been talking to people at State House and all. That's not part of the negotiation. What they have done, and let me say this to you, the question is not meeting, when you're talking about negotiation, not because I sent something today. That means that it must take 6 months or 3 years down the road for us to negotiate it. These things have stipulated time frame. You are saying that the government is saying by way of law that if you are essential services, you need to give X amount, so many days notice before you can go take strike action. There are no more things you got to do. The same thing don't apply to you, the employer. It applies to the employer. 3 years after you come in to say that you're talking about what? You have constructively put in place a mechanism for strike action.
Right. So the hardball of
and because they have done that, yes, they must pay.
Yes, but
they must pay because it's them supposed to workers out there.
Do you think, Brother Lincoln, that the fact that the government has said, look, we are the fastest growing economy in the world, we have a lot of money, we have a budget of $1.1 trillion, Guyana is on the move. Do you think that factored into wising up, as we would say in Guyana, wising up the workers, that look, they got money, they're paying we next to nothing, and they got the money to pay us more. Do you think that was a factor?
That may be one of the factors.
Yes, I'm asking whether it's one of the factors.
These people, you live in a society. Let me give you an example. People know what happened here. You have a chairman of one of the commissions who is part-time, making $1.7 million a month,
Yeah.
They don't work there. She only chairing a board. Mm-hmm. You understand me? And you have a group, a clan in this country who hold the neck of this economy, bleeding this country, and telling people that they must wait. And let me tell you what, that issue where they see the president come out to tell people, virtually the teachers, that they don't have conscience and these type of things, it don't go down well.
Yes. You
don't tell me I must wait.
Right.
When you taking you on right now.
The inequitable distribution of the resources, the inequitable distribution of the windfall that we're getting from oil, do you see that as one of the major factors that is?
That is one of the factors.
Yes.
People have decided that it is time we get our share. Today I was down by the market and some vendors telling me today that they want, cash transfer, because they don't want to wait when they die that the state will buy a coffin for them. A woman tell me that today. She said she wants you now. And Mr. Lewis, I gotta see what can be done that we can get ours. People are looking for what is just and fair in this society.
Just and fair in this society. Lincoln Lewis here tonight speaking about the teacher strike. We're glad to have all of you on. We are not on tonight from CAMS TV. There were some issues over there, and we are not on that platform there tonight, but I recognize that a number of you have found your way on other platforms, and we have our full component. I want to thank you all so much for that. As I said, we have a new component now, the Politics 101 bulletin, which are news reports on our program, but also on other political issues in the society. The trending news today on our website, Dr. David Hinds, Politics 101.com, Dr. David Hinds, Guyana Politics 101.com. That's the website, Dr. David Hinds, Guyana Politics 101. That's our website. And of course, our Facebook page, Politics 101 with Dr. Hinds. You can get our news reports on this program and other issues in Guyana. Our trending story today is the story that another school child was banned from or kicked off, disqualified from a competition, a matrimony competition, this time in the poetry section. The child was reciting a poem by a pregnant teacher who was talking about the travails of teachers, Of course, all of these things were written before the teacher strike. The government has now moved in and they're policing, they're censoring art, they're censoring culture, and they're doing so among our children. Lincoln Lewis, your thoughts on the banning of the calypso by the young lady and now the disqualification and banning of a poem by a school child. Lincoln Lewis.
Fear stalks the land. Let me tell you what. Let me go straight to the heart. These men and women that we have here today in the government, you check their track record. Go back to Jack Dew. 1999 strike, prolonged because of the same man. He was Minister of Finance at the time. And he decided that we will not get, the public servants will not get a wage increase that they are demanding. You know what was his argument? He came to the nation and he said that the structural adjustment program with the IMF and the World Bank, the IFIs, they have an agreement and you can't break that program. They decided to go to arbitration, and the arbitration award, which was the panel was headed by Armstrong, they gave significant increase way beyond what he and his government and the government had intended to impose on people. But they pay. They honor it. It's this same man who tell you before that it can't be done. The country gone bankrupt. You know why he tell you that? Two things. He is bankrupt for new ideas, right? And he's bankrupt as it relates to running a country. All that he can do is abuse the state resources. All of them, led by him. Abuse the state resources to the detriment of the people in the country. That is what he did. Let me tell you, and I'll say it again to you guys. I believe I said it to you before. Jack Dio is a coward. If Jack Dio, without the armed men that are around him, if he's coming through the corridor and he see you or he see me, he's gonna look for the first door to run through like a lava.
Lincoln
right?
Lewis.
I'm telling you about the man. I'm telling you about them. Right? Thursday coming, you come and you call me. Last week he said, I'm a relic. Right? But why would I advise him that I'm not a thief? Right?
Lincoln Lewis here raining on
what we got to do These people are abusing, and this is what we are doing. We are aiding and abetting these men and women to our detriment.
Yes.
The resources that they are using to curse us out, to threaten us, are our resources. We have to stop. Even the media. You got to stop covering these men and women because they're not helping society.
Lincoln Lewis here tonight, letting off a lot of steam as he usually does, but also
I'm telling you, David, that girl that they banned,
yeah,
is fair. Because I'm going to tell you something. The calypso all around the place, and every time you see the poem with the band, he gonna go just the same.
Yeah.
He gonna pass through all the schools. Yeah. They are so fearful that they are going to do worse things. And let me tell you worse thing. The butcher from Unity has not yet struck.
The butcher from Unity has not yet struck. Lincoln Lewis, my brother, thank you very much for coming through. And as usual, I'll be calling on you in the coming days to weigh in on these developments. We are in serious times, interesting times, but times that will determine where our country goes in the next 2 to 3 decades. My brother, thank you very much.
Thank you, David. And
Lincoln Lewis there. And I want to thank you all for staying with us. Check out the Politics 101 Bulletin. Go to our Facebook page, Politics 101 with Dr. David Hinds. Some of you are joining us from there now. Those of you who are joining us from other platforms, please go on that Facebook page, the Politics 101 Bulletin there. We have a certified professional reporter. I don't want to say working with us, but volunteering with us, and who are covering Politics 101 and other issues around. And we hope that we are starting something that could only grow. Some of you will get it in your email. Those of you whose email addresses I have, we're working on trying to get it into your inboxes, Messenger. But please go to our Facebook page. Go there, read, but also follow us on that page. We've got to grow that page. Follow us. Go right now and follow us on that page. Like and follow us on that page. And we're going to take it from there. Tomorrow night, Dr. Jeffrey is going to be here, and you know Dr. Jeffrey is going to tear into it tomorrow night. While we've been dealing with the strike here, the Venezuelans been marching along the border. We'll talk about that tomorrow night too. We're going to be talking about that tomorrow night too. Thank you all. Thank you all so much for coming through. As usual, the love is unconditional. The love comes from a place that is genuine.